your reactions to this? This is not the first time that you've seen this report. Of course, it was published on our Daily Nation, our sister paper, and that was aired yesterday as well. Maybe I'll start with you, Dr. Nduhio. What do you make of this? You're part of it, but what is your reaction to it?
Maybe firstly, let me indicate that the toxicologist is Professor Balia. I'm an immunologist.
Okay.
Therefore, taking care of the microbiology part of it.
All right.
It's good to clear that.
Thank you.
However, I went with the Daily Nation team, picking the samples, and the situation is there. And I think it's time that something is done. Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Joe, what is your reaction to this?
Well, allow me first to say well done, Nation Media Group, for amplifying what we've been doing actually in our institution. Mm-hmm. This is what I've been advocating for as a chairman of Water Resources Authority. My institution is in center of this. We are the regulators. Mm-hmm. And what you are saying today with the microphones, we've been saying with papers. What do I mean? That all the people who have been polluting, those who have been emptying and polluting the rivers, we've been warning them on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Our officers have voluminous order book, which we have issued to all these companies and to the institutions, which are the main corporate. County governments, we have written to them several times, telling them what they need to do.
Is the implementation a problem?
The implementation by the agencies is one of the key problems we are facing. Mm-hmm. But that does not mean that we don't have a solution. All right. We have a solution of cleaning Nairobi River. Mm-hmm. Cleaning of Nairobi River per se is not part of our mandate. Mm-hmm. Our mandate is to regulate, to make sure that the river is cleaned. But the protection of that river is purely our mandate, and that's why I'm saying there's a window. My take would be, or my wish would be, before I leave the office, a Nairobian or a Kenyan walk to Nairobi River and wash their hands there.
All right.
Yes.
Elizabeth, what is your take as a young environmentalist? What do you make of this?
I think this is an issue that actually came as an eye-opener to the public and to everyone out there, that it's an issue that we have often ignored and also failed to prioritize for a very long time now, the issue of environmental conservation and the issue of the water crisis. And it's an issue that can actually wipe out an entire generation. So I think it was great that it came out there to the public to know that it's a problem that we need to address as early as yesterday. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And Robert, your take as well.
Yeah, firstly, let me start by saying thank you so much, Nation Media Group, for highlighting this problem. And I would say your investigative journalism, really was clearly demonstrated. It's a very good strength. When you hear and you see, you actually feel a bit sick. And more so when you realize communities oblivious of this problem historically have continued to use this water. And people responsible of ensuring that we have safe and clean water historically have ignored or have slept on their job. So it's my hope out of this discussion that firstly, the users of the water will be more informed to make right choices. Number two, the people responsible for ensuring safe and clean environment takes their mandate seriously.
All right.
So this was actually the best thing that should have been done, particularly from Makueni, where I come from, where the river is our main source of water. During the drought, most of our rivers dry up, and that remains the only source of water. And it's by coincidence, when the other rivers have dried up, is at the peak of pollution of the river. It's just a bad situation.
It's a bad situation, all right. And Dr. Gitahi, you know, with the work that you've been able to do over the past few months, 2 months specifically, what was the most shocking revelation for you?
Well, I would not call it a revelation, since even before we did the work,
Yeah.
at least we knew that the river is polluted.
All right.
But we needed to put the science part of it. Since when you have data, then we can have this talk. Otherwise, somebody just going down there saying that it's polluted may not make a lot of sense to it. However, going through all the sampling and all the testing, then we proved that our fears were proved, that the river is contaminated with heavy metals, that is chemicals.
Which include lead.
That, yes, which are poisonous, and which of course should not even be in water. Sewer is released to the river just without any treatment.
And so the levels were extremely high from the metals that you found in the river.
Let's say some of the metals ought not to be there at all, because some of them are poisonous when consumed. There are those that would be found there, and to certain limits they are helpful to the body. But when they exceed a certain limit, then they're poisonous. To start with, they ought not to be there. Yes. So the fact that they are there means that we have a problem that needs to be addressed. Yes.
All right. And Joe, you know, the water quality is definitely toxic for the environment and the humans as well. And this cuts across all the counties that depend on this particular water. So really, you've talked about, you know, Nairobi River doesn't really fall under, or rather fall under the Water Resources Authority.
No, I said we do not clean. We are not part of the cleaning agencies.
All right.
But we are the regulator.
Or as a regulator.
Our mandate
mandate as a regulator.
Is a regulator.
What are some of the long-term policies are you going to ensure that you're put in place to remedy this situation? This is a situation that has been there for decades. For past few years, people have talked about Nairobi River and its pollution and the impact it has on the environment.
You'll be surprised. Regulations are there. Regulations are there. What you did is what we've been doing all through. And that's why I alluded in my first statement that we are just amplifying what we've been talking about. The problem is that people live in denial. And most of the polluters, they don't respect the law at all. Some of them actually, and I'm ashamed to say this, being government institutions. Because the main polluters of Nairobi River, the main polluters, are the government institution. Nairobi Water Company. They are responsible for sewer system in the country. Nairobi County government is responsible for collection of, and not Nairobi County government alone, Machakos County, Makueni County, they are responsible for collecting garbage. And they are charging Kenyans for that. Nairobi Water is charging Kenyans for the water they use. And that water they use, there's a fee to connect them to the sewer system. Do they do that? The answer is no. So they discharge direct to the river. Companies, okay, industries, whenever they get a license to set up their factories, they get a license which has terms and regulations printed on that license we give them. Any license we issue out there, it bears all the information of what need to be done, that you don't discharge waste to the river, you don't discharge toxic to even storm collection points. They have it there with them. So they disregard all that and they do it in the full glare of daylight, and they don't respect. So what is the problem here? The problem is how we handle our situations, how we act, how we think, how we behave. So if Nairobi County being responsible to collect garbage, and this is what you are seeing right at the river, Nairobi County being responsible to dispose the garbage, okay? You need to ask yourself, what is it that they are not doing right?
All right.
Those are the questions we are asking as an authority. When we say we are going to close today, if I tell Kenyans or Nairobians that actually from where we sit, we are not supposed to allow Nairobi Company to operate. We are supposed to shut them down. Otherwise Kenyans will die. The next thing you will get is that Mutambu is a bad man. He is denying us water in Nairobi. But the company which is charged with the responsibility of doing whatever they are supposed to do to make sure that there is no discharge of either direct effluent to the river, they are not doing their job. We cannot say that we do not have facilities. I want to tell you that Tana, they're constructing a very huge sewer line in Nairobi. Who is responsible to connect the people of Nairobi? It is Nairobi Water. They have not connected them. We have informal settlement, Kibera, Mukuru Kayab, Madare. All those people, they habit near where those rivers are passing. What solutions have we given them? We need these people in Nairobi. We only love them when they are voting for us. But now after that, we don't take care of them. Right? So the solutions are there. Us as an institution, we have come up with the solutions. Are we ready to implement them?